you were expecting something analytical and intelligent on a Friday. It's the day after a Browns game. I want to start with Hugh Jackson. All right. Look, he gets his mind set on something and he can't get off it. And he did not want to have to go back on the Baker Mayfield is going to not play with the number ones. So he rushes an injured quarterback, his starting quarterback, back into the game so that his statement would be as true as possible. And who really knew at that point? They took x-rays and they said there was nothing fractured. But, you've got a lot of ligaments and such in your hand and in your wrist. And tendons. And for the life of me, I can't see the reason why you would jeopardize your starting quarterback by putting him back out on the field when it was apparent that it didn't matter who was in the game. Nobody was open downfield. I mean, there were plenty of times where both Baker Mayfield and Tyrod Taylor had plenty of time to throw the ball and they just stood there in the pocket and nobody broke open. And that bodes really badly for the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. And I don't remember the Eagles stopping the Patriots like that in the Super Bowl. So, I have concerns right off the bat there. Why you would rush him back into the game, I got no idea. And the same thing, if you wanted a dress rehearsal, if you had any foresight whatsoever, you wouldn't have pushed Antonio Callaway to the point where he suffered a soft tissue injury, which is exactly what Hugh Jackson did. He overplayed him in game 2 to punish him, and he punished the team because Antonio Callaway was not on the field. We had to watch a decrepit Jabril Peppers try to return punts and kickoffs again, which is just not going to work. We were without our speed on the outside, and it hurt the team. So that once again, Hugh Jackson could play, ego. Yeah. Third thing I take away from the game is that I don't know why we can get 20 different offensive coordinators in here. And when we're first and goal from the one, we just won't punch it in when we have an offensive line that we're trying to turn into the whole Hard Knocks thing. Was Wiley and his Maserati, big fat offensive line coach, and it was like
that guy is
he's a trip. But that he was a prime player in that particular episode, and I mean, you wonder what does he think? I would love for the HBO cameras to go back to him. So hey, what happened? You're first and goal on the one, man. Doesn't anybody believe in your line? It's like maybe you drive around in a really nice Italian car, but nobody believes in what you're doing, dude, because, we just ran the ball 3 times in a row straight down the fucking field.
Yep. And Carlos Hyde had that 33-yard run followed by a 21-yard run by Chubbs. So if you can run the 33 and the 21 in your own backfield, why not punch it in at the 1 or at least attempt to? I'd give you half credit if they stopped you twice on the run and you try to change it up with a quarterback draw or, whatever, a bootleg or whatever, sweep. I mean, I can understand if it didn't work in the red zone, I can totally understand that. But to not attempt one run at all is just mind-boggling.
Well, I mean, that's why you brought Chubb in. Chubb's a guy who is a one cut between the tackles, just put your head down and go guy. And I mean, we have to have some kind of a jumbo formation. We have to have something that, but every year, it doesn't matter who's running the offense. Why would you come out in the opening possession of the game and play check down Charlie football?
That's Tyrod, man.
That's right.
Tyrod does that.
Actually, I listen to Cleveland Browns Daily every day, and they were they're trying to chalk up that the lack of running to just the preseason and that it's not going to be the same way once the regular season hits. But I called into the one show, the one with Gerard Cherry and I can't remember the Big Show. And I asked him, I was like, is there a case to be made for Baker? Because you look at, even though Tyrod's only thrown, I think 16 interceptions over the last 3 years, he's led the league in taking sacks. It's his fault, because he's too he's too afraid to make a mistake, and he
nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean,
and on top of that, that show with Skip and Shannon, they were knocking Dak Prescott for only averaging 5.7 yards an attempt, and then Joe in the preseason, and then Joe Flacco last year only averaging 5.7 yards an attempt. Last night, Tyrod was averaging 4.1 yards an attempt. I mean, at least Baker's always looking at second and third level. I mean, it's just it's hard. I mean, I know they don't want to just throw the rookie out there, but he's not the same rookie as the other ones. I don't know. What do you guys think? Or Moohead, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I want to say hi to a few people. Gemini 605 in the chat room. I want to say hi to Doggy Bones, and I want to say hi to Modesta Crawford. How you doing? It disturbs me when we're playing on our home field and our first possession is a bunch of sideways passes. Those plays have never worked for the Cleveland Browns, will never work for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, why you would just dump the ball, parallel to the line of scrimmage.
To hide that -4, -5 yard dump off.
And I mean, it's like, let me get this straight. I mean, you're trying to get Austin Corbett to learn the position to be able to kick block for runs. Now you're going to have him trying to run out and block in open space for these quick hitting things that go sideways. The whole thing is predicated on the guy who catches the ball makes the first tackler miss. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have any of our speed guys on the field. So you didn't have Josh Gordon. You didn't have Antonio Callaway. You didn't have anybody who could make the first guy miss. So he just gets knocked down 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And so immediately you're like 2nd and 13. And then whenever you're 3rd and 10, our offense believes that we have no chance of getting it. And we will just proceed to dump the ball off and take the 6-yard gain that they give us underneath and punt the ball away. Yeah. I don't understand what the value is of, it's one thing to sit there and say, I believe in my team. And it's another thing to actually show it. And why would you, this notion of I'm going to go for it on 4th down on a 4th and 6 when you can never get that. You can never get that. I mean, you can't get 3rd and 6. So what is the point of that? And what is the point of running the same play a second time and have your receiver get held both times and then bitch about it? It's all predictable calls. And, that is the one that puts you up, basically 12-0 and gives you, breathing room.
You're talking about the 2 Landry interferences, right?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, again, those pass plays should never have been called. And it just takes me right back to last year that we never get the job done in the red zone. And the reason we don't is because, nothing is making any sense there. I mean, we're weighted too far in one direction or another. And, we keep saying we're going to commit to the running game. We're going to commit to the running game. So we go out in the second preseason game and we blow them off the line and commit to the running game. We come in game 3 and it's like, well, you got to do something with our passing game. Well, the passing game isn't ready for prime time, folks. If you couldn't see that, you're fucking blind. The Cleveland Browns are going to be 2-14 or 1-15 again. And the reason is because Jarvis Landry is not an outside receiver. He's an inside slot receiver. He does not have the speed, and he does not have the open space ability. He is not a guy who's going to up and double the amount of yards per catch. It's the whole thing is built on a bad foundation, and that group of receiver, I mean, you tell me, you have a guy who's not traditionally an outside guy playing an outside role. You've got Rashard Higgins, who can be covered one-on-one. We've seen that last year. He's got good hands, but the bottom line is that how often do you see him wide open? And, where was Njoku in all of this?
For real.
Nowhere to be found. But Higgins did make some good catches on some crucial 3rd down plays.
That 3rd and 9 for 20 yards that Baker hit him on.
Oh, yeah.
That deep out.
but I guarantee you it's not going to work as often in the regular season because, like, it's like Mr. Muad said, he's got great hands, but if you can't get the separation, it's not always going to work.
Well, once Josh is there, Josh is our savior. He's our Lord and Savior.
Oh, of course.
Christ.
Look. Anybody who's expecting anything but abject disappointment from Josh Gordon is a fool.
You bite your lip. You bite your tongue.
I'm not biting my lip. I'm telling you
Tongue, I mean.
what the odds are. I mean, stop and think for a minute.
Yeah.
Why would a guy, I mean, here's a guy who hasn't played much football in the last 3 years. Okay. I thought the whole idea was he was taking care of his business in the off season. He was staying in this magnificent shape. He's putting up these Instagrams and look at me working out and I'm on great shape and all this. And then when camp starts, he's nowhere to be found.
Yep.
Look, if the fucking pressure is going to get to him every single time it gets close to playing football, I mean, that he has to go running back to rehab, he obviously cannot be counted on. I want to separate this from the discussion of I want him to have a happy life and I want him to go on. I want to take fans' expectations down about 3 notches below the screen level because the history shows that when it's time to put up or shut up, he falls apart.
Yep.
And what it tells me is he did it again this year. He wasn't ready to play preseason football.
But he didn't get popped, though.
He did. Look,
He didn't get popped.
and that's all great for his personal life. And I'm happy for him. And I hope that he's able to avoid the demons. I think that's a wonderful thing. But I'm talking about fans' expectations of sitting there and expecting Josh Gordon to be a prime contributor on a team when his life is hanging in the balance and it seems to concern him and drive him into anxiety every time the real game of football has to be played.
Yeah.
And
I think he gets it now because his only demons are they're not that big of a deal. Like his last suspension was because he had a beer with his teammates on the plane. And when he got off the plane,
that's minimizing things. He told in great detail all the things that he was doing while he was still playing with the Browns last year.
I think he was full of shit and over exaggerating, saying he's done all this hard shit. He's never played any games, even in high school, without being on these hard drugs and whatnot. He just likes to smoke weed like 90% of the league. He was just already at stage 2 when he got into the league that, they were pissing him all the time. At least these other guys know exactly when they're going to be pissed. So they're usually bright enough not to smoke. But I think Josh gets it now because he knows it's a death sentence. Like he has a kid now and this is his last chance to make money. If he doesn't, he's done.
You're thinking about this like a rational person who realized that you had a genetic predisposition for something and you went and got tested. You found out something, you got it taken care of. You're a responsible person, Michael. We're not talking about somebody here who makes those kinds of rational decisions. We're talking about somebody who has a career so far from college on of not telling the truth, of deceiving people and having a substance abuse problem and an anxiety problem. And who knows at this point, if what you're saying is correct and maybe he exaggerated, maybe the reason he exaggerated is that the anxiety wells up in him every time it's time to play football. All I'm saying is we've gone through the last 3 years with these same hopes and expectations of this guy, and he's never there when all is said and done. And all I'm saying is take him out of the equation, and what you have is the guy who caught 112 passes last year on the inside slot trying to play the outside. You have Rashard Higgins, who was almost cut last year. In fact, he actually was and brought back on the practice squad. Okay. So that's the other guy. You got Antonio Callaway. The pot wasn't mine. The car may not have been mine. Oh me, oh my, oh.
2.0 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that's your other guy. I mean, and then there's Njoku.
Hard Knocks. How he just is not an intelligent person. When he's sitting down with John Dorsey and Hugh, and he's talking about when the police pulled him over. Like, yeah, they found a roach underneath my seat. And I was like, you fitting to use that? Are you fitting to use that? You really fitting to use that? And I'm like, you're talking to the GM and the head coach. He's just so dumb, man.
Well, but it may have worked some in college. I mean, what can I tell you except that we are relying on this group of people, and then to see in a dress rehearsal our receivers unable to get open is a serious concern. And if you cannot score points, I will tell you again what will happen this year, because it's the same thing that happened last year. Once the defense, which is all flying around the field and playing really good, realizes that no matter how many times they give the ball back to the offense can't score and move the ball. They will give up and quit, and the same shit will happen all over again. There has to be some change in our ability to design an offense to get people open, and we're still slow at the wide receiver position.
Oh, yeah. If Josh isn't back and if you can't rely on him, we're definitely be pounding the rock a lot more. I mean, obviously we can run it, with Carlos.
Expectations for Josh Gordon this year. I mean, given his
I've
circumstances,
got high hopes. I think he's going to be if he's available for 16 games. I think he's definitely a top 5 guy for sure.
Are you looking for 1,000+ yards, 20+?
Who was throwing to him when he was there for 14 games? He had garbage thrown at him, and he that 4-game stretch where he had over 700 yards. When he had Campbell and Whedon and I don't know who else thrown to him. Just
okay. Better question: if this doesn't work out for Josh Gordon this year, is it time to give him the axe, his last joint, and tell him to keep it moving?
Oh, if he gets popped with weed or alcohol again, yeah, he's done. I think not just with in the league.
I see I'm being talked about. My nose was itching, so I knew I was being talked about in the in the chat room. Look, I don't mean to be gloom and doom, but you cannot expect your defense to be on the field.
That defense is nasty.
Off, but it won't be nasty when they're worn down. And you have to keep your players fresh. And you cannot just go 3 and out. You cannot start throwing sideways passes and getting into 3rd and longs that you can't convert. You just can't do it. And Tyrod Taylor is check down Charlie. We were hoping that Tyrod Taylor would throw the ball down the field vertically, but it's Tyrod Taylor, and he is a check down Charlie quarterback. That, it's like I said in the halftime show. Oh, but he was all pro in 2015, and Jan Gomes was an all-star this year, batting .247. It's like, blow me, please. It's like, look, people have a good year, and I'm not saying that Tyrod Taylor is a bad quarterback. I'm just saying that he's a seat warmer. His career was playing for a team that hung around 500. He got into the playoffs once, and they made a big deal of it. It was because everyone else sucked. They didn't go anywhere in the playoffs because he threw the ball 5 yards past. That's who he is. That's what he does.
So
it's a ton of sacks.
Are you guys' expectations for Tyrod Taylor to still start week 1, or are you having some thoughts?
Yeah, because that's what he wants. And what he wants, you get.
But the bottom line is that what difference does it make? What quarterback is on the field when you've got Greg Robinson and Spencer Drango and all of these bozos in front of them? I mean, Baker could have suffered a major concussion in that game.
Yeah, and that bum's not even going to be on the team. What's his name?
Yeah.
Coleman. He hit himself on Coleman. Coleman's not even going to make the team.
Yep.
Joe Thomas was, in fact, that he would replace him. He's not even going to make the team.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, again, the concerns that I have is that it's easy to focus on the quarterback, but it's a damn good thing based on the way the offensive line pass blocked in the game. It's a damn good thing that Baker wasn't exposed too much to it, because in the time he was on the field, he got hit a good number of times. They weren't protecting him. He's brave. He stays in the pocket, and that's, NFL, not for long.
One of those sacks was like the guy was a complete free rusher right on the outside, standing at the line. There was obviously, I don't know if it was Batonio. He picked up his man, But there wasn't a running back or a tight end there.
It's always Durango. Every time they showed the line of the linebacker coming in, it went right around Durango. He's terrible. I mean, that man should not even be playing professional football. He's just going to get people killed. He was instrumental in our 0-16, as was Sean Coleman. Why these people are still vying for a roster spot on this team? It's better just to get rid of them, because they were 0-16 and they were prime contributors to 0-16. And, and it's one thing, Tubby Dog, how you doing, Tubby, is saying that's why we're going to sign Dez Bryant, and Dez will be a downfield threat. Well,
yeah, Dez, like can separate. He can't separate from anyone. I don't know why they still
No, not like he used to. And again, I want to have Dez Bryant on the team because I'm convinced that Callaway is going to do something stupid, is going to have to get blown off the team for some reason because he's got character issues, that they're going to sour on Rashard Higgins once they find that he's not getting open. It's going to be the same. It's the same paradigm as last year. And you need to have people who can open the field up. But I never understood. Dorsey is not a big Haley is not a big downfield, throw the bomb kind of guy. Haley is used to a system where they could run the ball with Le'Veon Bell. He's used to a system where if they kept Roethlisberger under 30 throws, they win. They control the ground game. When they were forced to throw the ball more, they lost. He's not a Josh Gordon, let's throw the bomb kind of offensive coordinator. On the other hand, Hugh Jackson is famous for being a verticalized offensive play caller, even when he didn't have speed. So those two guys don't think alike. So, I was hoping that we would have some intricacy in what we're going to do offensively. Now you're going to say, well, it's plain vanilla in the preseason. I don't think anybody wanted to go out against the Philadelphia Eagles and play the way Cleveland did offensively. I don't care if it's plain vanilla or if it's chocolate or if it's strawberry. Nobody wanted to play that way.
But did you see more hope out of Baker than you did out of Tyrod? As far as going down the field, he had some nice throws down the field. I mean, I like that he looks to attack, whereas Tyrod, like you said, likes to throw it sideways.
Yeah.
Check it down. It just the first series, I'm like, I've seen enough of Tyrod. That's enough.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If a woman is a prostitute and has been a prostitute for about 6-7 years and still doesn't give a good blowjob, there's something really wrong.
Preach.
If you're a quarterback and you are checking the ball down and you're a 500 guy and you've been in the league for 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever years, and that's who you are, I mean, and you still can't throw the ball downfield, you're still taking sacks, that's who you are. And what I would compare Tyrod Taylor to is a more athletic, younger Josh McCown.
Wow.
He's a guy who has accuracy throwing short balls, but has a tendency to hold onto the ball too long and can get hurt.
So how long do you see this Tyrod Taylor lasting in terms of starting? Because some people say Baker should come in by the 5th game, but would you be surprised if maybe they yank him in the first half and just go with Baker?
No, we're not going to see that. I remember what game was that? That was a Pittsburgh game, wasn't it? What was the game where they benched the quarterback after the first half of the first game? Somebody in the chat room will remember it.
When they brought in Charlie Fry?
I'm not sure. I mean, the Browns have been famous for, non-commitment when it comes to quarterbacks.
The Cardinals used to do that with Matt Leinart and Kurt Warner. They used to let them take turns playing halves and stuff. The
difference was that Warner was the guy who could play and Leinart was the left-hander. I'm what you're going to get with Tyrod Taylor. And with Tyrod Taylor and slow wide receivers, if we don't get the people that we need in there to play, it's going to be hard to score points. And it's going to be hard to motivate the defensive players week after week and all of it.
That's what I took out of game 3. I took it was a one good defensive game, and the safety came from the defense. So really the offense put up 3 points. And you guys don't punch the ball in at all.
Should have had a touchdown on that first drive.
Exactly. And it just, to me, it spells like the offense needs to find a way to get receivers open. And because obviously the run game is there.
You got to go with the Baker. Bring on the Baker. Like, he was attacking. I want to see what he's made of. I want to see him play at home against Pittsburgh. Then the next week go into New Orleans. I want to see what he's made of. Even if we lose, I just want to see what he is made of. I mean,
I totally disagree with this because, what was Tim Couch made of?
Tim Couch didn't have the team around him that Baker has, or whoever is back.
Oh, Jesus.
Tim Couch had one hell of an arm.
Tim Couch.
Oh, he didn't. He had his.
Nobody could have survived the 1999 Cleveland Browns offensive line. Nobody could have possibly. No.
So this team is way, way better. This line's way better. The playmakers are way better. The defense is way better now.
You really think that watching Tyrod Taylor get hurt running around out there and watching Baker get thrown around like a rag doll, you want the guy who you're entrusting your future of your franchise to go out there behind Spencer Drango? I mean, we don't know about Zeitler. We don't know when he's coming back.
Initially, I didn't. But after watching what Tyrod is, just like Denny Green says, he is exactly who we thought he was.
Yeah, I'm all with that. But I mean, sometimes you're on the road and you're driving and you have to get something to eat. And the only thing there is fucking Subway, and it's like, oh God, that's not chicken. I don't even know what the fuck it is. It's rat or it's cat or it's bat. It's something. But you do what you got to do. You kind of hold your nose and it's like, that's the only thing that's here. And that's where I am not going to drive 100 miles for a better lunch if I can just, the short term, just grab what I can have. And with Tyrod Taylor, that's what we've got. And I want to protect Baker Mayfield because we've done such a horrendous job at protecting our young quarterbacks through the years by putting them on the field too soon.
You're right. You're right. But I think he's different than everyone else that we put out there. And
he's human, and he's made of flesh and blood and bones. How can he be different?
As far as the ability to win, I mean, compared to these other guys that we've taken high, like Weed, the non-first overall picks like Weeden and Johnny and who was the other one? Brady Quinn. I mean,
yeah, I remember Brady Quinn.
And he's got that moxie where everyone just responds.
I'm not going to argue with you that he has potential, but he's not a fucking transformer. I mean, you're going to rush people in, you're going to blindside him, you're going to kill him, and he's never going to be able to express that greatness. I love the kid. I think he's really going to be good. But you know something? Aaron Rodgers didn't have to go out on the field. For 5 years, he held the clipboard. He didn't even have to go out on the field, He just watched Brett Favre.
So worst case scenario, it's the third quarter, Pittsburgh's up 27-0. Tyrod Taylor throws 3 picks. Would you then consider putting in Baker Mayfield and just saying?
No, I put Drew Stanton in.
Wow.
Yeah, and if they're beating up on us that badly in our home stadium, then it doesn't matter. One man's not going to come out on the field and make a goddamn bit of difference. And that's, what the coaching staff, what the fans have to understand is that we're trying to get better as an organization, as a collective unit of players. And there were things in yesterday's game that were great to watch defensively. I mean, Foles was an absolute abortion out there. I mean, the interception by Jamie Collins, I mean, God, that's something that I would have expected DeShone Kizer to do.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have his top 2 receivers, but still, it was bad.
Oh, but I mean, you just sit there and stare in one place. I mean, and honestly, I don't think Jamie Collins is a starting linebacker on this team. And I know now we find out that Genard Avery has got a hip injury, although it's not been listed what the injury is, but he's going to, quote, miss some time. So it can't be anything good. Genard Avery was outplaying our other linebackers. And, it's my famous question that I ask every year. Why doesn't Spencer Drango get injured? Why is it the promising ones who get hurt?
Avery's a stud.
Vinny Testaverde, you could hit him with a fucking U.S. postal truck and he'd get up. And it's like, stay down, please.
Like Kaiser, too.
Yeah, please stay down. Grab your knee and, blood all over the field. It's like, just get him off. No, they get up every time. But the one guy you can't afford ends up getting hurt. The ones with promise, end up getting hurt. And, I honestly believe that it doesn't matter what quarterback you have. If A, you can't successfully run the football, or B, you have wide receivers who can't separate. In today's game, people are saying, well, God, they were holding Landry. Stop and think, football fans. I'm going to give you a take that you're not going to hear on any other fucking show. And the reason you're not going to hear it is because the hosts aren't as smart as I am. Okay? I'm watching that play, and it's obvious that it's contact downfield outside of that 5 yards, right? The restricted zone. It's a hold. Why didn't they call it? And the answer is you give a little, you take a little. If you're going to start calling these goofy helmet penalties on people, the defense is going to have nothing left. The defense, if they can't make a leaping tackle that technically the front of their face mask hits a guy first, if they're going to throw a flag on that, then the defense has to defy gravity, which is impossible. So what can you do to give some cojones back to the defense? Well, in the secondary, is going to be allowing them to use their hands a little more.
You're right, because in the NBA, I heard the announcers talking about that some of the NBA referees will make bad calls on a certain team, and to even the odds, they'll make bad calls on the other team to even it out.
Well, plus Cleveland never gets calls, and they wanted the Super Bowl champs to, of course, they're going to get more calls than the shitty Browns. So
when the NBA,
both of those calls were blatant. I mean, 2 plays in a row. I couldn't believe one of them.
When the NBA wanted a higher scoring game, they prevented a hand check. The guards were no longer allowed to hand check, right?
All right. That's how it's away.
They wanted this thing to be an open floor, one-on-one, dribble the ball between your legs, Uncle Drew thing. And so you couldn't do that shit if you were being hand checked. In the NFL, they opened up the offense too by taking away the defense's right to hand check. But you know something? In the end, hand checking is a whole lot safer than leading with your helmet.
Yeah.
So my feeling is that the NFL is going to trade one for the other. So get used to it. And if you don't have receivers who are fast to get separation, Wit and Guile isn't going to get you by when people are allowed to hand check. And that's what I saw.
But 2 plays in a row, the ref was looking right at it.
I think that's the way they were going to tell the teams that you're allowed to do this. I didn't see an interference call on the Browns. I can't remember a fucking game where the Browns didn't commit an interference penalty or a hold down the field. I can't fucking believe it. What they did call on the Browns the week before were a couple of these weird, they were blocking too far down the field, and therefore they were offensive pass interferences, not called on the man who caught the pass, but on another guy who was blocking. Yeah, I saw that too. That's another way that they're going to kind of help the defense out, is that, anything that resembles a pick play is going to get flagged, man. It's going to get flagged. So if you don't have fast receivers, you're fucked.
So, Mr. Moohead, what are you guys expecting to see going into Pittsburgh? Because obviously this last preseason game really doesn't mean shit. So the game against Pittsburgh in Week 1, what are you hoping to see besides a win and a loss?
That's it. A W.
And I will guarantee you it won't happen. This team isn't ready to play. And I'm thrilled with the speed of the defense. I'm thrilled with the effort.
I think you're going to see Josh in the 4th preseason game, and he will be starting against the Steelers. So who knows if he's out there?
I talked to a number of reporters who don't write what they know. Okay? The people who attended practices to a person said to me that the defense was dominating the offense throughout training camp.
Wow.
We were getting horseshit stories of like, oh, you know, boy, look who looked great in practice. And boy, Jarvis Landry catches everything, yada, yada, yada. But when push came to shove in the sessions that were the red zone sessions, the defense won every time. And when we look at the game yesterday, it's no wonder why that was the case. I mean,
this past week, I guess Miles was so dominant, they were like asking him to dial it back, and he's like, no. He's like, I'm not going to take it back at all.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah. I mean, so you saw Foles get eradicated by this defense, but you know the difference is that they weren't playing their their full drawer of weapons, but the defense may really be improved, but not enough to hold Ben Roethlisberger to under 20 points and to try to win a 17-16 game. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to win with 13 points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, the O definitely has to do its job, but it was very nice to see that D, even with essentially without Denzel Ward or Demarius Randall the whole game, to play the way they did.
Well, yeah, and again, Gemini 605 is saying, is it possible that Landry is Coleman 2.0? No, but this is what the Browns are famous for. They will get a guy and then they'll make him play a different position. This is part of the disease that ravages the organization. Oh, and by the way, Jarvis, we're putting you outside. I mean, it's like, I thought you got him because you wanted somebody who would catch everything that was thrown to him. Well, he wasn't open. I mean, the balls were thrown way away from him anyway, but shit, I mean, not open. Why wouldn't you bring a guy in and let him play to his strength? Yeah. And the answer is they're introducing him to a new position because they have no faith in Antonio Callaway and Josh Gordon. I mean, he would be playing the inside if they honestly fucking believed that those two outside speed guys were going to be there consistently. Why else would you be putting, I mean, why did you put Bitonio at left tackle? Well, because you remembered once you saw Sean Coleman shit his pants the first day of practice, you realize, it's plan B. When you can't count on people, you draw up a plan B, and that very often means that guards become centers and, or tackles, or, it just becomes that way.
Yeah, and you were telling me that you didn't want a transitional guy that you could switch from left to right. You were saying that before back in May because it never works.
Well, yeah. I mean, in his defense, he did play left tackle in college and moved inside when we had Joe, so it's not like completely foreign to him.
Yeah, Tubby Dog's ticking off the minutes. I don't know what wisdom you want, Tubby. You want me to tell you that the Cleveland Browns are going to go 10-6 this year? Is that what you want me to tell you? Maybe I can reach through the screen and just give you a hand job. Would that make you happy? I mean, it's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to look at the games and tell you honestly what I think I saw. And what I saw was a team in a dress rehearsal. And I mean, if that were a fucking dress rehearsal of a wedding, the wedding wouldn't happen the next day. Believe me, we got our work cut out for us, and nobody is going to give us a break.
No.
I hope you're wrong, and I don't mean to suck your dick, but you are right almost all the motherfucking time. So I hope for once you're wrong. I hope for once. You're right about everything else. The Indians, the Cavs, but please be wrong this time.
You need to make big plays. I was thrilled with the turnovers. I thought that's great. I think Greg Williams, like I said when they first hired him, I don't think that he was Greg Williams last year. I think that they cloned him and they kidnapped the real one and stuck him in the trunk of a Hyundai. But the guy we have this year, with more to work with, and I this guy is at least going to get these guys to play like rabid animals, which is fine. I'm all for it. But it's very hard to manage a defense when they get turnovers. I mean, 4 turnovers, and we could not convert offensively. That, I think everyone was saying before the game, well, the Browns were like the worst team in the league, number 31 in getting turnovers. So we go out and we get 4 turnovers and we still score 5 points.
Yep. And 2 came from the defense.
Yep. And that's, and I don't know. It's a problem. And until you're able to make plays down the field and keep the defense guessing, you're going to have problems. This Cleveland Browns stadium, it's a morgue. The network microphones never pick up crowd noise because there isn't any. It's a morgue. We play lousy in our home field. People can't get excited and sustain excitement from the crowd's perspective because there's nothing to get excited about. And go ahead.
No, I said if the Browns can't find a way to get that offense moving, that defense is going to burn out, and you're going to see a lot of the same stuff last year where the games could end up really close. You're going to see a really large blowout.
Well, I'm hoping that if it all happens and goes down the way that I think it will, that Hugh will be gone, and that might actually motivate some people to keep their chin up, knowing that the real reason for the demise of this team, he's the one who's out of step now, and they just got to move on him. He's goofy. I hope Josh Gordon plays. I hope Josh Gordon gets beyond whatever, but really, what are you going to expect from Josh Gordon? And then this incredible thing that came out in the game that Hugh Jackson said that Josh Gordon will not start
this week for the Philly game. But they think
no. That when the regular season begins, Hugh Jackson stated to the press that Josh Gordon would not start. And do you want to know the reason why?
I didn't hear that. Well, I know that they hope he's ready. They're just not going to let him play the first play of the game and then they'll put him in?
Well, this is punishment. I'm not making this up. This is no different than Antonio Callaway. That he's got to wait his turn like anyone else because of accepting and owning up to what he's done. Now, you know something?
Wow, I didn't hear that.
If you really think, it was said on the national broadcast yesterday, said Troy Aikman and all, they're all talking about it. Not going to start.
While watching it.
And it's like you just shake your head and say, so the best guy is not going to play. He's not going to start. I mean, what's the point of having him? I mean, I want to get one good play before he attacks the reefer. I mean, come on. I'm diminishing expectations because I feel that I need to.
What is your realistic, as of today, what is your realistic win prediction for the season?
I would consider a successful year 5 wins. But if we're going to lose the first 4, which we will, that leaves 12 games. If you win 5, that means you win 5 of your final 12. You can always say, "Oh, we almost played 500 ball for the back end of the season, for the last 3 quarters of the season." You can, and then you build on that. Yeah, that's kind of how I see this. But
wait, I know week 1 is Pittsburgh, 2 is New Orleans. Who's 3 and 4?
Is Oakland in there?
Oh, I think we play Oakland around week 9-ish because that's out here. I'm flying up there for the game. I mean, Oakland and Denver are the closest to me, but I don't think Oakland's that early. Could be.
Now you guys play the Jets, and then you play the Raiders.
Yeah, I knew the Raiders were in there.
Shit, I thought the Raiders were later. Shit.
And the Jets are a possible win, but. Believe me, if Sam Darnold comes out on the field and beats us,
that No,
And also, I want to add to that your Saints and Jets games are separated by 4 days. You got 2 games in 4 days.
is one the Thursday night game?
Yeah, that Jets game's a Thursday nighter.
Yeah, that's but then what I'll do is I'll hire some of my Russian friends to drown Hugh Jackson in the lake.
Please do, please.
That'll be
Honestly, that offense looks so stagnant, though. It's like Mr. Muhad said earlier, 1-15, 2-14 teams almost right on the knob. If they can't get this offensive moving, you're going to see a really long season.
I mean, that was a great defense, but like you said, speed. I mean, without Callaway out there, we couldn't get anything done. And really, where was Njoku? I didn't see his name called once. I saw maybe one thrown his way once. That's all I could recall.
Yeah, I thought Myles Garrett looked great.
Yeah. Oh, Miles.
Garrett Miles. Miles Garrett. Garrett Miles.
Miles Garrett.
So you're saying that Tyrod stinks up the joint, then you're going to put Drew Stanton in. I just hope he doesn't give you that.
If you're down 27-0,
they're putting Baker in. If Tyrod fucks up,
no, you're putting Drew Stanton in. He's expendable. Believe me.
Let me hear Stanton say, I remember back in the day when I used to be down 27-0, and then all of a sudden he gets hit by a linebacker. Like,
it's like, I know the script of this one. What happens is we fall behind 34-0. The fans are booing. They put me into the game, and they run a safety blitz on the blind side, and I get hit, and my shoulder's separated. Oh, it reminds me of the good old days. He's expendable. I mean, you know what people will say? If Drew Stanton goes into the game down 34-0 and gets a separated shoulder, they'll go, Broby. People will be standing for that idiot to go be, moved up from the practice squad,
And he's on the stretcher. I took one for the team, guys.
Yeah.
Go Browns.
I got a crystal ball. You see, I called that one. Can't move my fucking arm, but I called it. That's
I
right.
can't feel my fucking neck. I think I'm going through cardiac arrest.
False cardiac arrest. All right, guys. I got to get out of here. It's almost 10 after 7, and we've given the people what they wanted. Thanks, Michael. I'm glad you're doing well. Very glad.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you stay healthy. And Stephen, as always, thank you. And fuck Brian for not making the show and just chatting. I don't know what he obviously got something going on.
And Michelle for not making it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
We're going to be sweet this year, man. We're going to win. We're going to the playoffs, man.
That's it for this edition of Moohead Radio. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll be back again come Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.